Jad in London, England. I think most of us can agree that MJF cuts one of the best promos in the business at the moment, but CM Punk and Paul Heyman are two people who I think could at least match, if not better him. So my question to you is buy or sell on the promo battle that you would like to see more, MJF against CM Punk or MJF against Paul Heyman? MJF and Paul Heyman, no doubt, would be a lot of fun. I think it would be fun to put them together, even though MJF doesn't need Heyman. Imagine the two of them together. But I gotta go MJF and Punk. MJF and Punk is what I'm looking forward to. We're gonna get it. Just a matter of time. It's, I don't know if it'll be for a championship or anything like that, but that's the match. That's the program, all the promos that we'll get on TV that I'm looking forward to the most. Chris from Phoenix, am I the only one bewildered by the split-screen pre-match Mark Henry interviews? They almost always feel pre-recorded, but with Henry live, trying to remember the time cues. From a presentation standpoint, it's my biggest pet peeve with an otherwise consistently strong AEW product. What are your thoughts? No, I mean, they really don't bother me as much. I think it's probably a better role for him than commentary. It's the right role for him to be in. I like the idea of doing pre-match interviews because it reminds me of the wrestling that I grew up on. When you would have those stand-up backstage interviews with a Mean Gene Okerlund or a Lord Alfred Hayes or a Sean Mooney. So I like the idea of doing pre-match interviews. His presentation, the way he does it, it does look a little, rehearsed and scripted, but they don't bother me the way that it bothers you. As far as big pet peeves, I wouldn't say that that's one of them. Julius from the Bronx, despite Mark Henry's move to AEW, The Rock being virtually unavailable most of the time, and the Owen Hart situation, do you think the Nation will go into the Hall of Fame at some point? No, I do not. When I think of them putting factions in the Hall of Fame, we saw the NWO go in. I would love to see the Hart Foundation go in, though. I don't see how that's going to be possible. All the members of the Hart Foundation but one are dead. It's pretty depressing, actually. Certainly they're deserving. If they're going to start inducting factions, they're certainly deserving of being inducted. I look at that as one of those things they do just for the elite factions. Like one day the Shield being inducted into the Hall of Fame. The New Day being inducted into the Hall of Fame. The Nation, to me, as important as that group was to building The Rock into what he would go on to become, is not one of those top elite factions that I think I would put in there for their own standalone Hall of Fame induction. Ron Simmons went into the Hall of Fame. The Rock is going to go into the Hall of Fame for a lot more than just being part of the Nation. Mark Henry in the Hall of Fame. Is he in the Hall of Fame? I think he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm trying to remember the speech where he mentioned Owen, if that was him inducting somebody else or was that him being inducted. Now I don't remember. But the Nation being put in the Hall of Fame, I don't see that happening. Brian from Orlando, how would you rank Stone Cold Steve Austin's WrestleMania matches from least to most significant? Well, the least significant by far is his WrestleMania match with Savio Vega. Back when he was still the ringmaster. I think that goes at the bottom of the list. Unless you're only counting Stone Cold. Technically, he wasn't Stone Cold, I don't think. Was he Stone Cold? I don't think he was Stone Cold yet. I think he became Stone Cold in May. And WrestleMania was in March. But that one is at the bottom. And the most significant is Bret Hart against Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. And that image of him fighting out of the sharpshooter, trying to fight out of it, blood pouring down his face. It's an iconic image. I can't say that I think there was a more significant WrestleMania match for him. Even the first time he won the championship against Shawn Michaels, I would still put the match with Bret at WrestleMania 13 above all else. Daniel from Hamburg, Germany. Which of these three matches would you have liked the most to see? Randy Savage against Bret Hart at WrestleMania 9 or 10, Undertaker against Eddie Guerrero at SummerSlam 2004, or CM Punk against The Rock against John Cena at WrestleMania 29. I would have to say CM Punk against The Rock against John Cena. It would have made for a much better WrestleMania match than the one we got. And Matthias from Paraguay. Look at that. All the way from Paraguay. Buy, sell, or rent on the best version of Kurt Angle in his WWE run, 2000 to 2001, 2003, or 2006. Can I say none of the above? I mean, Kurt was great in 2000, 2001, 2003, but where's 2002? 2002, Kurt Angle. I mean, he was a machine in 03, but he started really being a machine in 02. I mean, the SummerSlam match with Rey Mysterio, the tag team stuff that he and Benoit did against Edge and Rey, other matches that he had that year leading into the beginning of 03. You know, he had a lot of big wins that year. Even the matches he had with Edge that really helped put Edge on the map as a single star. He got Hulk Hogan, babyface Hulk Hogan, to tap out. I don't believe that there has ever been a babyface Hulk Hogan match where he has tapped out. I think that is the only time in his career he ever did that. That was at the King of the Ring. So I would say Kurt Angle 2002 was just the fucking man. And Matthias's other question is, what does a match need to be considered a dream match? Dream matches are one of those subjective things where everybody's going to have a different answer. A dream match can simply be a match between two wrestlers who maybe are deceased. They are no longer among the living. Therefore, it would be a dream to see wrestler X step into the ring against wrestler Y. Some people would say that a dream match is just simply a match between two guys, whether they're dead or alive, that we never got to see. And they could be big names. Maybe they're not so big names. You know, maybe somebody would consider Mr. Perfect against Dolph Ziggler to be a dream match. You know, father against son. So dream match is completely subjective. I think of dream matches. I think of matches that I wanted to see and we never just, for whatever reason, had the chance to get it. A big match, like a Rock against Shawn Michaels, or Bret Hart against Kurt Angle, or Hogan and Austin in their primes, or Austin Goldberg even when they were both on top during the Monday Night War. It would have been exciting, I guess, to see them step into the ring together. So that's really how I would sort of view the whole concept of the dream match. If you have two wrestlers that you really liked, or even if they weren't favorites of yours, but you just think, man, that would have been a hell of a match. Their two styles would have matched up perfectly. Or this guy was a big star, and this guy was a big star. And wouldn't it have been great to see the two of them go head-to-head in the main event of a WrestleMania? And see who would have gone over and who would have gotten the win. Austin versus Hogan, who would have gone over, right? Hogan against Flair back in the 80s, long before they ever had their first match. When Hogan was at the peak of his WWF run and Flair was at the peak of his NWA run, a lot of people would have considered that to be a dream match. By the time they got to it, it wasn't really as much of a dream match anymore. Totally subjective thing.